Yo!
Yo!
Hello there. My name is Based. Well, technically not anymore. It's Beat the Barbarian's Vienhole. But, the intro has been so ingrained into my brain that I refuse to fucking change that because I can see myself messing up over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. But who the fuck cares? Anyways, we're here with more Hatsumira for once. Probably gonna keep it short again, though. It's more a case of I'm trying to take it a bit slower, just so like the burnout doesn't set in. Also, I didn't sleep anyway, like at all again. It's been very hot, and I've run out of good old melatonin. Fucking Jig Daniels bottles in the background again. Actually, recognize this bottle as well. I don't know the name right now. I have seen it before. Bacardi, I think? Hold on, now I have to look it up. Nah, it wasn't Was it Bacardi? I mean, that one isn't Bacardi. The one next to it is, though, probably. What is that one, then? It's none of these. It's none of these again. This is annoying me more than I probably should right now. Not that one. Piece of shit. Show me the fucking one I'm looking for. Yes, I'm stuck on this right now. Maybe I'll find it here. I'm surprised that they don't have any Uzo in the set up in there. And it's not Smirnoff. Ah, there we go. Bombay Dry Gin. That's what it is. Like a bunch of stuff in this list that the local branch of this doesn't have where I live. I think those. Oh, now I found another bottle that kind of fits it. Maria Kron Weinbrand, but only kind of fits it. It's a bit of a stretch. Unicum, ungarischer Kräuterlikör. That's an unfortunate naming choice. Extremely unfortunate.
Oh, なんだよ。結局お前も戻ってきたのかよ。国に帰って家業を継ぐんじゃなかったのか。まあな。
でも国に帰るったってよ。俺の親父は貿易商で、家族はみんなイルクージカに住んでたんだ。親父とお袋、それに姉貴と弟にばあちゃんまでいなくなっちまったってのに、今さら本国に帰ってもな。だいたいそういうお前だって本国に帰って金物屋でも始めるって言ってただろうに。
国に帰ったら帰ったで、負けて帰ったやつを歓迎なんかしてくれるもんかよ。近所中から白い目で見られてよ。なんで父ちゃんを助けてくれなかったんだって子供にまで恨まれる。しまいには父親までが俺を情けないと蔑みやがるし、母親は近所に合わせる顔がないと泣き出しやがった。たまんねえよ。
なあ、ここにいるような連中は結局みんな同じってこった。他に行く場所なくてみんな戻ってきちまったっつうこった。
嫌だね。どいつもこいつも面見てみろ。休みの日にすることなくて賭博屋でよく見た顔ばっかじゃねえか。
ちげえねえよな。はっはっはっは。まあとにかく座れ。ここにいればとりあえず食うには困らん。まずは飯を食おう。
ありがてえ。実はここ最近まともに飯を食ってなくてな。
おい姉ちゃん、もう一人前追加で頼めるか。
飛竜兵の姉ちゃんじゃねえか。両班長のシャノン異種層はどうした？
全員が戻ってきてるわけじゃないぞ。
なーに、心配はいらん。ちびっこいのや口うるさいのやどんくさいのと違って、このでっかい飛竜の姉ちゃんはそこそこうまいもん作るぞ。
まあ欠点が全くないっちゅうわけでもないけどな。
なんだよそれ。
はい、お待たせ。まずは前菜。キングロブスターのかき油炒め、パプリカと玉ねぎ、エリンギと一緒にどうぞ。
おお。
あとはチーズがたっぷり入った全粒粉のパンが焼けるから、もうちょっと待って。
Damn, Ellen's showing off that once she opens up her restaurant, she's gonna fucking bring in the cash.
確かにうまそうだ。
うまいんだが、いかんせんハイカロリーすぎて太るのが欠点だ。
なーに、食ったらその分働けばいい。
おーい、エレンいるか？
いるよ
おーい、いたいた。探させんなよ。
ー。何？
監視飛行の引き継ぎだ。次はお前の番。それと、新しい名護式が届いてっから、それ抱えて飛んでこいってよ。
まだご飯作ってる途中なのに。
知るかよ。飯当番は私が交代するんだとよ。
待てよ、おちび。お前が飯当番だと？
Oh yeah, that's Captain Morgan as well. That's a fucking iconic one. Actually, that could be Fireball as well. It's more likely to be Captain Morgan though.
あ？んだよ。文句あんのかよ。
だってお前超料理下手じゃん。
いやー、下手は言い過ぎだが、確かにちびっころの作る飯はまずくもないがうまくもないな。例えるならまるで男の学生が作ったような、とりあえず腹が膨れればいいっちゅう感じの飯だからな。
うっせえな。おめえらが味がしねえって言うから貴重な塩を足してやりゃ、今度は塩っカレーとか言い出しやがる。贅沢言ってんじゃねえ。
ああ、最悪だこいつ。
やばい、今のうちにまともな飯食っとけ。これがなくなったらふりかけと白飯だけが頼りになるぞ。
ああ、ずるいぞお前ら。俺の分は？
やかましい。早い者勝ちだ。
てめえら。
慌てなくてもいい。飯当番は俺が代わろ
両班長、戻ってきてくれたんですか？
う。まあ、行き場がなかったのはお前らと同じだ。だいたい俺の作る雑で大雑把な料理を喜んで食うのなんざお前らぐらいだしな。
そんなことはない。バラウルの兵たちはあんたが作った飯で育ってきたんだ。もはや食い慣れた味ってやつだ。
俺、ザンバーフィッシュの兜焼き、こう想像だ。
これこれ。バカ、がっつくんじゃねえっつの。まずは魚の口んとこ手突っ込んで半分に割れよ。わかってるって。
待て待て待たんか。 レモンバターソースを絡めるの忘れるな。
いやー、よかった。まともな飯を用意してくれる奴が戻ってきて。
うまい。もはや母ちゃんの作った飯より懐かしい。
たくよ。私も余計な仕事が減るから文句は言わねえけど、なんかムカつくぜ。
言っちゃなんだが、お前の作った飯を文句も言わずに食うのなんて、一郎さんぐらいだぞ。
そうかよ。そんで、その一郎はどこ行ったんだよ。まだ飯食ってねえだろ。
知らん。回覧板みたいなもん持って歩いてるとこを見たから、巡検にでも行ってるんじゃないか。あの人も忙しい人だからな。
握り飯でも作って持ってってやったらどうだ。つまみにカブの漬物も適当に切って持っていけばいい。
そうすっか。
飯握るだけならおちびでもできんだろ。多少塩辛くても疲れてる時には逆にありがたいだろうしな。
うっせバーカ。
It's always been said that the cleaner squadron's loo is the less disciplined they actually are. That's because cleaning the loo is often done as a punishment, so the squadron that is punished the most will clean their loo the most often. You will then assume that the squadron with the dirty loo are more disciplined. But strangely enough, that isn't the case. In a disciplined squadron, there are more soldiers willing to do dirty jobs without needing to be ordered to. They don't always do it without whinging about it, though. That especially rings true when the soldier in question is a noblewoman.
どうして男の方はトイレの床を汚すんですの?
You put a new pin-up above the bowl, you just end up with a dirty ceiling instead.
そういうことではありませんわ。
They traditionally say that in the Navy, your thingy becomes as warped as your personality, and that it is simply in men's nature to soil the floor. However, there is one way to solve it. Once you're done cleaning, try drawing a dot inside the bowl with a red pen. The hunting instinct naturally found in men will cause them to subconsciously aim at the red dot and the floor will stay clean. You know damn well that you always aim if there's something in there. Like, you know those tablets that they put in urinals? So it's like cleans a bit while flushing? You can bet 100% always aim for that.
そういうものなんですの?
Is it any different from women? What would you do if there was a red dot in the toilet?
それは、もうそれって性的嫌がらせ発言ですわよ。罰金ですわ。
Is that the Mori box? Bloody hell, even you're using that now. Sexually explicit comments are subjected to a 100 gil penalty paid in cash into this box that Mori prepared, also known as the Mori box. It was an experimental attempt to reduce the number of sexual harassment cases in Barou since there were so many vulgar soldiers and navy men there. Thought the collection box had been abolished.
それはあなたが100ギーム効果をジャラジャラと放り込みながら永遠と下ネタを続けたからですわ。
He's just a real listen up. I'm willing to pay for my bad humor. Anything wrong with that?
いいですの？これは100ギーム払えば下ネタをじゃんじゃん言ってもいいという箱ではないんですのよ。
It's not.
なんでそれは初耳だみたいな顔してますの。
If I seem dumb to you, then surely I must be.
なんでちょっとカッコつけてるんですの。もうあなたがやると皆が真似するんですのよ。少しはご自分の行動を改めてほしいものですわ。
I know, I'm sorry, but can you hurry up and finish cleaning? I want to move on to my next inspection. It's too hot in here.
わかってますわよ。私だっていつまでもやりたくはありませんわよ。こんな仕事汚いし臭いし暑いし最悪ですわ。どうして私がこんな仕事を。
Just scratch the walls a bunch. Like, just scratch the shit out of the walls a bunch. The ship will try to repair it and thus suck out the fucking air from the warmth from the room in order to get the energy to repair itself. Like, if you want any kind of, like, cooling in your room, just scratch up the walls in this ship. Because you're from a noble family?
どういう意味ですの？
There's something I once heard in my world, but there was one base commander who refused to eat separate meals from his subordinates. He insisted he'd eat the same things and sit at the same table. Normally commanding officers would get 1 or 2 extra dishes. May not be much, but by giving those up, he earned the unconditional trust and loyalty of his men.
私だって食事は皆と同じものをいただいてますわ。
Yes, that's why I'm having you clean the loo instead. The thought that a haughty noblewoman like you cleaned it makes every visit a soul-stirring experience. That's why even the ceiling is dirty. Why are you holding out the Mori box?
これはクソ暑い中くだらない話を聞かせてくれた罰金の要求ですわ。
Huh. Is it really that ridiculous? Then let me tell you a story that'll chill you to the bone instead. That should solve at least one of your problems.
涼しくなるようなお話ですの？
Right. Did I already tell you that the beach where armless did I already tell you about that beach where armless corpses kept washing up?
ああ、聞いた覚えがありますわ。確か軍艦が沈没して兵が何人も海に飛び込んだ後、将校の乗った脱出艇に何人もの兵が手をかけるから、その手を片っ端から軍刀で切り落としたってお話ですわよね。それが何だって言うんですの？
I suppose as a member of the Air Force, you have too little experience with battles on land to fully appreciate the chilling experience of finding daikon radishes.
大根？
They're these long white root vegetables, but it's also used as a slang term to refer to the disembodied arms and legs that are scattered around after a bomb blast. When you're on the ground for cover in the middle of a heated battle, it's not uncommon for a limb to drop onto the ground right in front of your face. But I guess it doesn't sound as scary when you've never experienced it yourself.
当たり前ですわよ。その程度でビビってたら、戦争なんてできませんわ。
Now let me tell you a more specific story about these daikon. During one battle in which many new recruits were fighting, a mortar shell came flying straight at one of them. One of his comrades, a veteran of 2 years, noticed it and yelled out, "Watch out, take cover." Then he pushed the recruit down on the ground by the back of his head. All they could do was cling to the trembling earth and pray that none of the shells hit them. The recruit was so scared he almost pissed himself, but he also felt incredibly grateful for the protection of his senior, who was still covering him and holding him to the ground by the back of his head. Comments like those are truly invaluable. He's gonna think like he's still pushing, like holding him down, but it's just gonna be the fucking hand. When the gunfire ceased, an eerie silence fell. But the hand pressed against the back of his head still didn't loosen its grip. Brute started wondering if his senior was just as scared as he was, because he kept holding on. If anything, it felt like his grip was only getting tighter. Having his face pressed into the mud, he was starting to suffocate. Naturally, he panicked and brushed the hand away. He sat up and was about to complain to his senior when a chill ran down his spine. Senior was gone. His body had been blown away by the blast, and his hand was all that remained. Then who'd been pushing that hand so forcefully against his head? Had his comrade been trying to protect his junior even in death? Or had he been trying to unleash his wrath, anger at the fact that he was the only one to die? Crude wasn't sure how to feel towards his comrade, who was nothing but a disembodied arm now. Should he feel grateful or sad? He was left sitting on the ground in the daze, staring at the daikon beside him. True story. knows what kind of cruel battlefields you'll have to fight on from here on out. Remember the story, every time you see a daikon radish and you'll gain some level of mental preparedness.
なんて話を聞かせてくれますのよ。もう食事に大根が出るたびに吐きそうですわよ。
If you're too sensitive, don't let it bother you so much.
気にしますわよ。
Remember to never look behind you when you're in the loo and hear a loud thud behind you. It might be a falling daikon that followed you back to base from the battlefield. Why don't hate me? I helped you feel more chilly, didn't I?
夜中におトイレに行けなくなったらどうしてくれますの？
Then you'd better do your business before nightfall. I'll draw a lead thought for you to aim at.
バカ！一郎さんのバカ！
You know what? In case I don't get a thumbnail within the hour, I'll just take this as a thumbnail because I feel like it exemplifies what this part is about pretty well. I'm probably calling it Toilet Horror Stories. Sit down! Stop hitting me with the Mori box! Since then, Carmine has started shrieking the moment I try to talk to her. I can't get anything across to her anymore. Taking the piss out of a haughty noblewoman is pretty fun, but I didn't think that it would twist her knickers that much. She never was too fond of me, but now she has a full-blown grudge against me. Not that I care. I remember from my days as a Navy recruit that those who hate their instructors tend to improve faster than those who obediently listen to everything they're told. My current Wyvern squadron, Carmine and Fran, are definitely the former. But as long as their hatred for me allows them to survive another day, then I'm completely alright with that. Dumplet Desert, Alumilicon Birth.
やはりどう考えても兵が足りんな。陸戦兵はぼちぼちと戻ってきてはいるが、それでも2個小隊に満たん。
本国のジェラルド大佐には援助を要請したのだろう。
するにはしたが話にならん。本土決戦が迫る中、こちらに送る兵など一兵たりとてないとの答えだ。それどころか、こちらに兵が集まっているのなら本国に送り返せと言ってきておる。
あれは昔からカッとなりやすい男であったからな。海軍大臣が睨みを利かせている間はそう無茶もせんだろうが。
本国では未だに公選派と穏健派で意見が対立しているらしい。本土決戦で本国も兵を使うとなれば水際に兵を送る余裕もなかろう。
本土にマジーの太陽を落とされてしまえば本土防衛もクソもなかろうに。
本国の言い分としては空爆さえ止めてくれればあとは正規軍が何とかするそうだ。
それもどうであろうな。すでに国外へ逃亡した連中にしてみればこのまま本国が滅ぶことを望んでいるやもしれん。
やはりイルクージカの一件でカーライル将軍が戦死されたのが大きいか。高齢ではあったが思考の柔軟さと先見の明がある名将であったもの。
カーライル将軍が存命であればそもそもバラウールの解体などという羽目にも合わずに済んだのかもしれん。
Are you gaffers butting heads over the good old days again?
くだらんとはなんだ。憂慮すべき問題であるぞ。
What's the point of talking about what a dead bloke might have done? Leave that to the civvies. The military doesn't talk about rubbish like that. Can't change the past, but you can still change the future. If you haven't the time to lament the past or pray to the gods, then you're better off using it to move forward instead. That's what I was told a real military man should be like.
これは一本取られたな。
You've got nothing better to do than to flap your guns. Why don't you head over to the Espolia factory to pick up the new weapons? They're so busy manufacturing them that they can't spare the manpower to transport them. That's what Corporal Hark told me over the radio.
Oh, Hark か。
Zokinme, did you forget to contact the Espolia garrison? Corporal Hark wasn't even aware that Baraul had disbanded.
奴は言っても聞かんからな。戦争に負けたと言っても奴は新人だろうし、10年でも100年でも勝つまで戦争をやめん男だ。
Isn't that all the more reason why you should go and see him right now?
そうだな。よし、七尾。そうか。
自分で置き去りにしておいて、都合のいい時に名前を呼んでやるなよ、ずうずしい。たまには一人で行ってくるがいい。
No need, Nano says as she shows up at the scene, ready to fucking break his arm.
違いない。
操舵室、ペトルシカ・マーレン隊より達する。警戒飛行中の飛竜から入電。当拠点より50キロ東方の地点で、当艦に向けて進行する正体不明の陸戦部隊を確認。
正体不明の部隊だと。
Who's on patrol duty right now? Over.
エレノア・ザッハ飛行長。
Damn it, it just had to be Ellen. She's so massive she'll be spotted in no time if she lowers her altitude to try to figure out to try and confirm their identity.
ビスラの軍勢であれば東から来ることはあるまい。降下して確認させてはどうか。
バラウールの解散と同時にルルカリオンの山岳部隊も解散したのだ。それを機にビスラが山を越えた可能性もあろう。
その心配はございません。
七尾、その声は七尾か？
はい。七尾フェティ少尉以下63名。遠足の途中であります。
遠足だと？
一郎さん、いるっすか？こら貴様、自分結局帰ってきてしまったであります。
What's going on?
私に聞くな。私は何も聞かされておらんぞ。
とにかくこれよりそちらに合流します。
何？おい、こら待て、七尾。どういうことだ？実家はどうした？返事をしろ！
無駄だ。無線を切っちまいやがった。
笑い事ではないぞ。
People are selfish creatures. In times of war, they crave peace, and in times of peace, their blood will be boiling for a good bout of fisticuffs. This is especially true for soldiers. Once we've caught a whiff of the scent of battle, it'll remain with us for the rest of our lives. No matter how hard we try to scrub ourselves clean, the filth of the battlefield will stick to us. Even when we know there is no need to fight any longer, we fear that our bodies will start rotting from the inside out if we don't fight. Once you get to that point, there's no way you can run. You will eventually find yourself being drawn back into the battle. Others may call you an idiot for it. It's like an incurable disease, illness. There's nothing you can do to resist it. I don't know why, but I like the phrase disease more than illness. It's funnier to say. Disease.
七尾フェティ少尉以下63名。再びご厄介になりに参りました。
No, fetish, I mean feti.
どういうことだ、七尾。聞いておらんぞ。誰の命令だ？
上官に命令されてから動くような副官はクソであります。上官が必要だと感じた時には、すでに準備が終わっているのが優秀な副官というものです。
バカな。本国からは何も連絡を受けてはおらんぞ。
軍令部はもとより、国王陛下の許可も得てはおりません。我々は本日、アーク寺院正規軍から自主的に離別しました。
なんだと？それでは脱走兵ではないか。
国家の有事に際し、尻を穴蔵に突っ込んだまま座して話し合いを続けるだけの軍に、兵など必要ありません。
それで脱走か。歓迎されるとでも思ったか？姫様のご意志を何と心得ておるか。
今頑張れない者は明日も頑張れない。そんなものの作る未来にどんな意味がある？
それは
宗賢様、あなたのお言葉です。
生意気な口を聞くな。
どうなってどうにかなる問題でもあるまい。ましてや来てしまったものを追い返したところで軍法会議が待っているだけだ。
認めるというのか？
今の我々はバカを叱る時間も惜しいのだ。各自陛下ごとに分かれて持ち場につけ、仕事は山ほどあるのだ。かかれ。
It is the best we can do, given the circumstances. Deserters have nowhere to return to. No matter the outcome of this war, they will never be able to go back to their home country. If they're not idiots, then who is?
一郎さん
You bloody idiots!
ですよ。一郎さんまでそんなこと言うんすか
You only have yourself to blame. Think about the consequences of your actions. Do you realize you'll never be able to return to your country anymore?
わかってるっすよ。でも、やり残しがあると思うと、何を食っても飯がまずくて叶わねえんすもん。
I believe I've told you before, but you tend to act on your emotions. If the only reason you joined the war effort is because everyone else is, then you're bound to regret it.
わかってるっすよ。それでも、やれることはあったのにと後悔するよりは100倍マシっすわ。
Alright, I trusted you to stop Zonta from acting on his daft whims.
自分もそのつもりではあったのですが、古くよりなすべき時になさざるは軍人にあらずと申しますように、昨日の自分を恥じず、今の自分が明日の自分を作るのでありますれば。
Have you forgotten that I beat you up the last time you tried to act the hero?
もちろん忘れてはおりません。あの時の自分は恥ずべき自分であります。それに自分は不眠症になってしまいました。どんなに訓練で体をいじめても眠くなれず、やっと眠れたかと思えば不吉な夢で目を覚ますの連続でして、これならば戦場にいた方がずっとマシであります。
Iria, I believe you had a clear goal when you decided to leave Barol. Why did you return?
自分も理由は皆と同じであります。本国に復員しては見たものの、どうにも座りが悪いのであります。
Fuck.
うまく言葉にはできないのですが、街を歩く子供の顔を見ているだけで意味もなく悲しくなってくるのであります。
I know, you really are just a bunch of barks. Do you have any idea how deeply rooted your symptoms are?
一郎さんには言われたくないであります。
If possible, I want you to live your lives a little more smartly. If everyone joins the battle, there won't be anybody left to bury us.
脱走兵に身をやつした時点で骨を拾ってもらおうなどとは思っておりません。
Good. Then you better start working as hard as you can so you won't end up regretting it.
はい。
Live your life without regrets. That's easier said than done. No matter how strong your resolve may be, you will end up making mistakes. However, mistakes that you make from a conscious decision are different from mistakes you make without thinking. As long as you remain aware of that, you can reduce the amount of mistakes you make.
とうの昔に脱ぎ捨てたと思っていた自分のバカを見せつけられたようで面はゆいか。
I'll remember growing into an old geezer. But you're right, it does annoy me because I have similar experiences.
自分が選べなかった道に後進を誘導したがるのは仕方のないことだ。苦労は自分がすればよいというのが軍人だ。双剣を見ろ。まるで父親のようではないか。
You mean with Nano?
後から行くと言ったきり、全く実家に戻ってこない双剣に対して随分と立腹の様子だ。
That's a sobering thought.
せめてもの救いは英雄になりたくて来たやつが一人もおらんということだな。英雄になりたいやつは脱走などせん。
If your country goes to ruin, there will be nobody left to write any history books about you or anybody to brag to.
407と232飛竜隊の生き残りが集まっている。皆100歳そこそこの若竜だ。無駄死にしないように貴様が面倒を見てやれ。
I didn't come here to be a childminder.
そう言うな。今や384はガキどもにとって格好の憧れだ。
Our aspirations, huh? Unrealistic expectations are bound to result in disappointment. Well, no, it was that once told me not to base my aspirations on others. Instead, you should have high expectations of yourself and work hard to become a better person tomorrow than you were
た
yesterday.
くこんなところにいたのかよ。ちょろちょろ移動しやがって。
What's wrong? Do you need me for something?
あんた、昼飯まだ食ってねえんだろ？飯持ってきてやったんだよ。
I was spying out over the mess hall after I finished up here, but you saved me the trouble. Thanks.
両班長が持ってけって言うからだし、別にあんたのためとかそういうやつじゃねえ
Okay,
し。
shut the fuck up, Tsundere. We plan to defeat the whole army with that many rice balls?
食い切れなかったら残しゃいいだろ。残ったら私が食うし。
Let's eat together. Wouldn't look right if I made my squad members eat my leftovers.
しょうがねえな。
Not bad.
具も入ってないただの握り飯にうまいもクソもあるかよ。
I just realized that I didn't have brekkie
あん
either.
たさ、頑張りすぎじゃねえの？なんでそんなに必死になれんだよ。
Do you have any memories you'd rather not remember?
あったらなんだって言うんだよ。
Can't change the past, no matter how hard you work. That's why I'm working hard as I can as hard as I can right now to prevent myself from making any more painful memories like that.
なんだよそれ。
Some that everybody in the Navy eventually learns. Can't change the past. If the past to you, living your former days is a worthless piece of shit. But if you work as hard as you can, at least you won't create any more memories you'll regret, and your future should be bright. Makes perfect sense. Probably won't get it when you're still a fresh recruit who can't overcome your real desires. But once you're able to look back on your first year in the Navy, you'll finally understand what it means.
まあ、言いたいことはわからんでもないけどよ。
The deserters who arrived today must have made their decisions based upon their vast experience. They must have felt uneasy about the future they were creating. That's why they were able to take that step.
どうだかな。407も232も生き残ったのはろくな経験もないガキばっかりじゃんか。何も分かってねえんじゃねえの？
And you should teach them.
は？足が人に物を教えるとか無理だし、てめえのことですらフラフラしてるっつうのに、ありえねえってやつだし。
That's the same for me too. What do I look like to
経
you?
験豊富で何も迷わない上官に見える。
I know everything though. I get nervy and decisive too, sometimes. I just make sure not to show
そ
it.
れができるやつは随分と簡単に言ってくれるぜ。
There's no need to think about it too deeply. Just pass on everything I've told you to your own
待
subordinates.
て、部下ってなんだよ。
We're reorganizing our Wyvern squadron because some new troops have arrived. Each original member of the 384th Squadron will be leading a squadron of their own, assigned with subordinates that will complement her individual skills.
待て。エレンとペアを組むだけでも鬱陶しいってのに、部下とか冗談じゃない。そんなのゾロゾロ引き連れて飛べってのかよ。
It's up to you how to use them. If you feel they're too much of a bother, just give them some orders and go off on your own. You can even use them as shields if you want. The commander has the right to tell her subordinates to die for him.
むちゃくちゃじゃねえか。
If you feel that way, then you should give them proper instructions to make sure they don't end up going for Burton. You understand?
評価ねえだろ。おい、一郎。
Those rice balls were pretty good considering you made
なん
them.
だよ。なんで私が作ったって分かったんだよ。つか、知ってたんなら言えよ。
I'll give you a list of members of your new squadron soon. Good luck. Make sure that the person you were yesterday won't be disappointed in you.
バッカじゃねえの？知らねえからな。どうなっても。
Some things you only understand once you are placed in a leadership role for the first time. When you're young, you might think that lectures are annoying, but once you become the person who lectures and scolds others, you will finally get what they mean. Things you were told might have seemed so obvious that it pissed you off, but once you become ashamed of your past self for not fully understanding such obvious things, you can finally call yourself a real officer. Superior officer's job to keep teaching and explaining things, while knowing that his subordinates find his lectures stupid and annoying. You have to believe that someday they will finally realize that meaning behind your words, and that they won't die because of that before that day comes. It's me, Chido Mimori.
入るがいい。
I'm here to report the results of my inspections.
聞こう。
First of all, the understaffing issue that every department was facing has mostly been resolved, thanks to the arrival of a group of deserters from Archgene this afternoon. Now that the infantry have returned, we can work on repairing the ship in shifts. Procurement of weapons and provisions should also be easier than we predicted. Nano has also been a great help. We can delegate the management of the troops to her. The infantry's morale has received a great boost thanks to her presence.
七尾は兵に人気があるからの。奴は金の勘定ができるのもありがたい。七尾がおらんと金の工面もできんし、物資の買い付けをしようにも相場がわからん。
When our numbers were small, we could simply buy our daily supplies as needed. But that won't work anymore now that our numbers have grown again. I will have her balance our books as soon as possible.
金の工面に労するようであれば、私の山と牧場を売っても構わんと伝えておいてくれ。
Your own land.
私の母が王家に嫁ぐ時に持参したもので、私の嫁入りの時にと譲ってくれたものじゃ。本国には戻れぬ身となった私に残された唯一の土地であるし、母の形見とあれば手放すのも気が引けるが。
I'll tell her, but I doubt she'll be willing to sell it. Old Linshin probably won't allow it either.
構わん。どうしても惜しい時は後から買い戻せばいいだけのことじゃ。金の話はもうよい。
Alright, next topic. About survivors from the 407th and 332nd Wyvern Squadrons.
まだ兵学校に在学中であった予科生じゃな。使い物になりそうなのか？
Can't say for sure yet. Their files say that they have completed 1 year of education and 3 months of practical training in the field.
やれやれ。また随分と即成教育になったものじゃな。私が練習生をしておった頃は、3年かけてみっちりと教え込まれたものじゃが、そんな連中が使い物になるとも思えん。全員返納書をつけて学校に送り返せ。
I understand that you'd rather not send reckless young trainees into battle, but we're facing a severe shortage of wyverns. We can use every single one that we can get. Besides, they may be trainees, but they are still deserters. It would be irresponsible to try and send them back. They won't be able to get away with just a warning or a reprimand.
それが問題なかろう。先日のイルクージカの空爆で戦死した407の隊長、ソフィア・エンバニー中尉は、軍令部のグレアム・エンバニー准将の孫じゃ。孫が残した部隊の生き残りともなれば、そう無下には扱うまい。
See. So that's why a bunch of Green Horse students decided to desert as a group, huh?
おそらくは、エンバニー准将の埋めこぼしであろう。孫の仇を撃つと飛び出していく部下に、背後から矢を放つような真似がなぜできようか。孫がイルクージカで戦死したことは、准将も心を痛めておられた。重い腰をいつまでも上げようともせぬ大本営には、摂氏役腕の極みであったことじゃろ。それに、七尾はこたびの合流を遠足などと申しておったではないか。ことによれば、この合流自体が、准将の計らいであったのやもしれぬ。
That's true, and if it was discovered that he encouraged them to desert and aided them in the process, he would be held fully responsible. That's all the more reason why we can't send the trainees back.
准将も、妙なところで気を利かせてくれたものよの。
You know the general well?
いや、そういうわけでもないのじゃが、うちにはほれ、カーマインがおるじゃろ。
So he has connections with Carmine's family?
いや、私も詳しくは知らんのじゃが、准将は以前、カーマインに窮地を救われた恩があるそうじゃ。また、その件が元で、カーマインが正規軍を去ったことを、心苦しく思われているようでな。
I see. So even if Archgene can't give us any official support anymore, we still have some collaborators there.
使い物にもならん即成新兵を送りつけておいて、協力もあったものではないわい。
Come on, don't say that. I have an idea what we could do with them.
考えじゃと？
I'm going to divide them into 4 groups according to their abilities and put each member of the 384th Squadron in charge of one group. We can put each group to use in various ways, and they should be able to train more quickly and effectively to prepare for the final battle that way.
そう簡単にうまくいくとは思えんがな。
I'm sure they will prefer it over being forced to do the cooking and cleaning, though. Tomorrow, the new Nago type hardware 3 and mass-produced patriotic hardware are scheduled to arrive, so we need to get them used to working with those. Even if they will only have a short period to train, it will be a valuable experience for them.
まあ、好きにせい。任せる。
Oh, that reminds me, there's one more thing. Do you remember that new weapon that the enemy made, which appears to be based on our Nago type hardware?
おお、あの光の矢を放つやつじゃな。
Apparently they're called plasma guns. We successfully obtained one from a downed enemy, and Nagwa brought it back with her for analysis.
おお。
She concluded that it would be impossible for us to reproduce the weapon, but she did figure out how it works. Based on results, we will establish an anti-plasma gun task force. Now, Wyvern will be required to attend the briefing.
この時間のない時にまた面倒なことを。
I know it's a pain in the arse to listen to a briefing for a whole hour, but it's important for soldiers to understand how the enemy's weapons work. We should thank Miss Pint-Sized for her work.
まあな。感謝はしておるよ。
The original plan was for us two to attack the enemy and invade their country by ourselves. Thinking back, I could never have imagined that so many comrades would be willing to join us. That is definitely something to be grateful about.
わかっておる。じゃが、こうして多くの命を再び預かることとなったのであれば、私もお前も意地を貫き通すような戦い方はできなくなったということじゃな。
We will fight to the bitter end, and for the sake of everyone who has gathered here, we cannot allow ourselves to die in vain.
結局、何人集まったのじゃ。
In addition to the first group, 29 that had returned, another 18 returned independently. Adding the 63 that rejoined us today, we have 110 total. That is more than half of the troops we had when we dissolved.
随分と戻ってきてしまったのじゃな。
Hold on, so this was like resistance army of like maybe 200 to 210 soldiers. They were going up against an empire. And winning. What the fuck? Nobody came back because they wanted to fight in the war, though. They came back because they like you and want to help you. I've heard complaints about the fact that not everybody has returned, though.
戻ってこないのではない。戻ってこれんのじゃ。兵にも様々事情がある。戻ってこれぬ者を責めることは私が許さん。私は戦争への参加を美化するつもりはない。戦争に参加せぬのもまた勇気。戦争に参加することが正しいとする世界の方が狂っておるのじゃ。
Couldn't have said it better. Even if the world has lost its mind, tomorrow will still come. For everyone else's perspective, we're probably the ones who've lost our minds. If both parties think that the other has gone balmy, then they're at an equilibrium. But as soon as one side tries to correct the things they don't like about the other by force, then it'll trigger a war. Once war has broken out, even people who had been sane up until that point will go crazy. But everybody remains unaware that they've lost their minds. Still at 62%, really? The next day I split up the 31 Wyvern trainees from the 407th and 232nd squadrons into groups based on the information in their evaluation files. First group, Squadron A. Lieutenant Elmear Carmine as its commander, They will specialize in dogfighting and guiding the still immobile Al-Milikan. The 8 wyverns selected for this squadron all have excellent grades in aerial
まず
combat.
は皆さんに2人1組としてペアを組んでもらいます。名前を呼ばれたら速やかに相手を確認してください。まず1組目、ローランド・ハーディソン3等飛竜曹、マキシン・アルボレート上等飛竜曹ペア。先に名前を呼ばれた者を長竜として、2番目に呼ばれた者には烈竜を。
隊長、よろしいでしょうか。
何ですの？
私は第407飛竜隊所属で海軍所属であります。陸軍所属の232飛竜隊とペアを組むのでありますか？
ララウールに海軍も陸軍もありませんわ。効果表を見て私が最適と判断した者同士でペアを組んでもらいます。
そもそもペアなど必要なのでありますか？
私たちの機関アルムアーケイドには推進機が5つもあるんですのよ。なぜそんなに必要なのか。
なぜでありますか
？2、3発ぶっ壊れても飛び続けるためですわ。つまりあなたたちペアのどっちかが落ちんでも空間を放棄しないためのペアということですわね。
効率的とは思えません。ペアなど組まずにカッコで戦った方がより広い面積を確保できるのでは？
それに自分の方が階級は上であります。下級のもの、しかも海軍の領流など。
仕方がないですわね。ここに集まった者の中で一番格闘戦の腕が立つのはどなたですの？
それなら私です。
いえ、自分の方が上級者であります。
どちらでも構いませんし、2人同時でも構いませんわ。飛ぶ準備をなさい。まずは私と空中戦をしてもらいます。
2対1で空中戦をするのでありますか？
いいえ、私はペアを組ませていただきますわ。この
Oh, she's using the same
使えない
trick.
のはコーネリア・クランシー二等飛竜曹。
はい、自分であります。どうして顔を見た瞬間にああなのでありますか？
あなた、私の幼馴染にどことなく似てますわ。
はい。
まあいいですわ。コーネリア、私があなたに乗りますわ。準備をなさい。はい、
乗る。
コーネリア、あなた、人を乗せて飛んだことはありますの？
ありませ
ん。よろしいですわ。なら私があなたの初めての女になってあげましてよ。いらっしゃい。
she's handling this 1 for 1. I actually fucking forgot his name for a second. I have to fucking scroll back up. I'm terrible. Ichiro, thank you. She's handling it 1 for 1 like Ichiro. Sorry, brain fart. If you can't convince somebody with words, you have to do so with actions. Show them what you're made of. I had a similar experience with my seniors in the past, which I passed on to my subordinates. And so a new tradition is born. You break in the fucking stubborn newbies by stomping their asses using the slowest of the bunch. It is now Carmine's job to teach the new recruits that they're full of youthful overconfidence, just like we were back in the day. Next up at the second group, Squadron B. Under Lieutenant Francesca Squall, they will specialize in hit-and-run tactics, carrying out high-speed dive-bombing attacks on major targets. 6 promising trainees who excel at limited warfare tactics are selected to make up Squadron B.
まさかこの私がチョロ先輩の部下の面倒を見る羽目になるとはね。
チョロ先輩とは何でありますか？
ああ、オメーラの姉さんだったソフィア・エンバに注意のことだよ。つか何？お前ら知んねえの？なんであの人がチョロって呼ばれてるか。
我々は普通にソフィー隊長と呼んでおりましたし、そのようなあだ名があったことすら初耳であります。
あの人は、あれだ。驚くほど簡単にダメ男にすぐ引っかかるちょろい女だったから、そう呼ばれてたってだけの話だ。ちなみに私はプーと呼ばれていた。私がプープだからだ。
それは。
はあ？プープ風情の命令になんぞ従いたかねえってやつがいれば、いつでも遠慮なく言え。今すぐ舞台から外してやる。私の知らないところで勝手に落ちね。だが、死にたくないやつ、この戦争に勝って生き残りたいというやつは、我慢して私についてこい。なんだ？誰も離隊を希望せんのか？機会は今しかないぞ。
そんなことを急に言われましても。
直感で構わん。今すぐ決めろ。答えを出せずに隣のやつの顔を見てるようなやつは、私の舞台じゃ真っ先に死ぬぞ。戦場のど真ん中で動きを止めるやつなんざ、ただの的だ。どうした？誰も離隊せんのか？はい！バーカ。私を姉さんって呼ぶんじゃねえよ。敵討ちを終えるまでは、おめえらの姉さんはチョロ先輩。ソフィア・エンバに注意だ。わかったか？はい！プー姉さん！ちくしょう。この間抜けども。まあいい。好きに呼べ。よーし。ならばそんな間抜けな貴様らに、いい知らせと悪い知らせがある。どちらから聞くかは、貴様たちに選ばせてやる。
では、良い知らせから。
今日からは私が、貴様らの隊長だ。私と飛んでいるうちは誰も死なせん。
では悪い知らせというのは。
今日から私が貴様らの隊長だ。私の訓練は厳しいぞ。運がないな、貴様ら。
Good news! I'm now your leader and I won't let any of y'all die while I'm here. Bad news! You'll all want to be dead!
まずは酸素瓶を背負って走り込みだ。全員、駆け足用意。はい、
プー姉さん。
To front the concept of being treated like an older sister figure by younger dragons must seem utterly bonkers. She might end up mistakenly thinking that she's finally a grown-up, having so many young wyverns looking up to her. And grown-ups tend to have the mistaken impression that others value them highly. But even if she harbors such illusions, it doesn't matter. In the end, it's still 100 times better than believing that nobody will ever acknowledge you for your hard work. With that mindset, tend to stop trying and expect others to solve their problems. As long as you believe that you're maturing, you'll be able to learn from your mistakes and put your experiences to good use. Until you eventually really do mature. Now for the third group, Squadron C. Led by Sergeant Major Eleanor Zack, Squadron C will be a flying artillery squad, making use of high-caliber guns for ground support and anti-aircraft defense. 9 plucky trainees, all blessed with a large physique, were chosen for this squadron.
隊長？
はい。隊長です。よろしく。
よろしくお願いします。
隊長として、まず皆さんに確認しておくことがあります。
なんでありましょうか？死ぬ覚悟ならいつでもできております。
隊長って、何をすればいいの？
えらい部隊に配属されたであります。
そうかな。
いや、褒めてないでありますよ。
とにかく、我々に何か指示を。
今日のお昼は、お肉を食べます。
イエーイ！喜ぶなー！
ダメかな？
いえ、ダメとかそういう話ではなくて、訓練はしないのでありますか？
私たちは、他の飛竜の3倍近い兵装を抱えて飛ぶんだよ。だから、まずは体力だと思うのね。それに、お腹が空いてると何をやってもうまくいかないような気がするけど、お腹がいっぱいになれば眠くなるよね。
まずいぞ。この隊長、
何言ってんだ。
普段の食事に何か混ざっているのでは。
わかります。皆さんの不安はよくわかります。私も不安です。でも、不安はご飯を食べれば感じなくなるのです。皆さん、ご飯を食べましょう。
やべえ、ぶっちぎりじゃねえか、この体調。
なんというか、放っておけないタイプの体調ですね。
ああ、すみません。なんか、言い過ぎたみたいで。
お腹すいた。どちらへ行かれるのでありますか？食べられる時に食べておかないと、明日なんて来ないかもしれないよ。
どうします？言っちゃいましたよ。
行くしかないだろ。先輩の背中に学べって教わったろ。
命令なら仕方がないですよね。
It might feel a bit pathetic when the first thing you learn in a new squadron is how to receive the most supplemental rations while doing the least amount of work, but Alan must be trying to teach your squadron that soldiers who don't eat when told to won't attack when told to either. Eat when you can, rest when you can. To an outside observer, it might look like we're leading rather leisurely lives here, but in the military, rest and nourishment aren't always a given. Most soldiers are the second or third sons of peasant families. They have physical strength, but they lack dexterity and intelligence. At night, when they go to sleep in hammocks in the barracks, they closely resemble caterpillars. They're just animals. Just feed them some white rice once in a while, and they'll chow down on it with tears of gratitude and a loud hurrah, completely emptying their bowls. That's what new recruits are told when they can't seem to let go of their worldly desires, at least. They get sick of hearing it pretty quickly, though. What's more, imitating and learning from their senior's example is part of a new recruit's duties. So when their senior tells them to eat, any answer other than yes, sir, would be unacceptable. It's not a commander's job to make their squad members work around the clock. Last group is Squadron D. Lieutenant Maureen Moret as its commander. Squadron D will be in charge of both bombing warfare and aerial combat, as well as assisting in the base defense and acting as reinforcements when needed. The 8 trainees chosen for the squad all have excellent grades in their theoretical exams.
というわけで、ここに集まっていただいたのは、座学で100点を取った皆さんです。皆さん、頭がいいですね。はい、皆さん今、何とも言えない苦い顔をしましたね。その通りです。別に天才を寄り集めたわけではありません。ここに集まっていただいたのは、先輩や指導教官に10やれと言われたら100でも1000でもできるまでやるタイプの皆さんです。天才ではなく、むしろおバカさんたちです。はいそこ、ムッとしないでください。我が神聖バラウールでは、おバカは褒め言葉ですよ。そして、ここからが大切なお話です。いいですか皆さん。空戦に100点の回答はありません。空戦にこれでいいはないのです。なぜなら、相手がたくさんいて、相手の数だけ答えが違うからです。100点だと信じていた答えが、相手によっては40点に、時には0点になってしまうこともあります。この無駄な動きさえなければ、100点だったという軌道があったとしましょう。それで20点マイナス。でも、その無駄な軌道のおかげで、40点だった相手に40点プラス。50点だった相手に30点プラス。トータルで見ると、平均で80点の回答というのが正解なのです。いつも100点を狙って、都合のいい敵ばかりを想定していては、40点の敵が来た時に撃墜されてしまいます。撃墜されて死んでしまえば、もう次はないのです。とはいえ、平均80点というのは、なかなか難しい点数です。まずは、平均70点を目指してください。無理をしないで、少しずつ点数を上げていきましょう。派手な戦果を望んではいけません。生き残りさえすれば、次があります。それを何度も続けていくことで、いつの間にかエースと呼ばれるようになるのです。負けないための80点。それが、私たちに求められている仕事です。わかりましたか？はい！では、 まずは私と模擬戦をやっていただきます。私はあなたたち個人の得手不得手に合わせて心底嫌な相手の動きをします。そんな私から70点が取れるように訓練しましょう。はい。それが済んだらペアを組んでもらい、相手の得手不得手を研究しながら攻めのポイント、逃げのポイントを学んでいきましょう。相手の得意な部分を積極的に取り入れ、相手の苦手な部分を研究し、相手にはできない技を身につけていきましょう。皆さんの中には両家のご出身の方も多くおられます。相手の弱点をつくというのはいかにも騎士道に反した卑怯な振る舞いに思えるかもしれません。ですがあえて言います。戦争に卑怯もクソもありません。殺すか殺されるかなのです。まずは殺されないように気をつけて上手に戦えるようになりましょう。はい。
She's a timid soldier who would never dare to push anybody aside to take the spotlight herself. Extremely observant, she's always gauging others' reactions and trying her best not to hurt their feelings. Her stubborn determination to not cause anybody trouble may come across as foolish. However, that earnestness is what allowed her to survive for as long as she has. It's an integral part of who Mori is. Where she teaches her lessons is no different from her children's ballet class. But perhaps that is the best way to teach those trainees, look in their eyes mirroring that of Mori herself.
しかし、本当に384の連中に任せておいて大丈夫なのか?
No need to worry. They're already fully fleshed commanders. They don't need me to stand next to them with a baton in hand for anybody to listen to them.
それは見込みが甘すぎると思うがの。
Worrying isn't going to change anything, so we might as well trust them. I've told them they can call me whenever they need help. I'd prefer it if they didn't call me to discuss every little thing, though.
やはり、いざとなると、いろいろなものが足りておらんな。
In my country, anyone who whinges about a lack of supplies would be considered a spoiled brat. If you have the time to complain, you should get off your lazy arse and do something about it.
実際、みんなよくやっておる。
But there's a limit to how much you can accomplish with hard work alone. But the Naga has given up on trying to build a Trinity core.
船は直せんということか。
Even if we focus all our efforts on it, it wouldn't be ready by the day of the scheduled bombing. So it's better to focus on repairing the weapons for now.
そうじゃな。せめて手法だけでも使用可能になってくれれば、動けないまでも砲台基地の役目は果たせよう。
On the day of the bombing, the ship will be a forward supply base of the Wyvern troops. We need it to store fuel for their rocket engines, which will run out every 10 minutes if they're flying at top speed, as well as barrels and ammo for the Nagwa-type hardware, since we're still using disposable barrels.
船が動けんとなれば、敵は地上部隊も出して全力で潰しに来るであろうな。
As long as the Wyvern troops can keep control of the airspace above the ship, they won't be able to bomb us from above. But if they lose control, we may have to abandon the ship.
構わん。どうせ一度は捨てた船じゃ。動けぬのなら、動けぬことで利が出る作戦を立てるまでのこと。この船が本土防衛最後の砦じゃ。ここから。
The determination is impressive, but don't even think about going down with the ship or any silly bollocks like that. You hear me?
分かっておる。座したまま懺悔するつもりはない。死ぬ時は空じゃ。
I'm sure I'll be riding you when the time comes.
ならば、それで十分じゃ。
I'm afraid that fighting with you till the bitter end is the only thing I can do, but I hope you'll forgive me.
何を言うか。それ以上を望めば、罰が当たろうというものよ。
The deepest wish from the bottom of my heart is for there to be no war. However, if there wasn't any war in this world, it would have been unlikely for the two of us to meet. With that in mind, I can't help but wonder if I really would have wanted it any other way. All I can think about right now is what I can do for her, what legacy I can leave behind for her.
するのじゃろ?
We got a CG to use! Lovely! The what?
じゃから、チューをするのじゃろ? したいと思っておるのじゃろ?
Really like kissing, huh?
それは自分でも少し意外じゃった。幼い頃はそれこそ唇を合わせるなど気色悪いとすら思っておったのじゃがの。全部お前のせいじゃ。
You blaming me now?
悪いとは一言も言ってはおらんじゃろう。最近は何かと忙しくしておって、こうして二人きりになったとしてもずっと戦争の話ばかりじ
ゃ。That's all I have any talent for.
そんなことを言うな。私にとってお前はそれ以上の意味がある。分かっておるのじゃろ？
I know.
ならば今は何をすべきかも分かっておるはずじゃ。
Yeah. What can I leave for her? Still can't come up with an answer after all the thinking I did. I should at least try to ease her anxiety right now. Oh no, she is not happy right now. Maybe I shouldn't have turned off my radio. I didn't think anyone would call me directly over the PA system.
なぜ無線を切っておいたのじゃ？無線呼び出しであれば無視もできたもの。
Because I didn't want any interruptions while I was spending time with you. Don't get upset, I have to go. Don't headbutt me with those horns.
チューはどうするのじゃ？
I'll give you a rain check. Boy, that's smart! Keep those horns out of my face!
チューもせずに他の女のところへ行くつもりか？脇者め。
I'm not cunning enough to juggle more than one relationship in the middle of a war. Go and see what she needs. We can continue this tonight. Do you think you'll have time to eat dinner with me?
時間は作ろう。
Stop spacing out, princess.
わかっておるわ。行くなら早う行ってしまえ。バカ者め。
In a sense, this is a good opportunity. Yukikaze has been acting a little strange lately. Whenever I give her one kiss, she keeps on craving more until she's satisfied. She wraps her tongue around mine while awkwardly squirming and fidgeting with her legs, making increasingly extreme demands of me. When she gets like that, she won't let go of me for about 2 hours. It's not that I find it unpleasant, but I wish she would save it for the evenings when our only task left for the day is to go to bed. Yeah. You called me at the exact right time. Anyways, I'm ending the part here. I hope you guys enjoyed this one and see you next time. Bye-bye. Let me just, We're still at 62%? How? The percentage hasn't moved in the last couple of parts. Fuck off. Bye.